Falling in love feels magical, mysterious, sometimes even chaotic. But under the surface, your brain is lighting up in very specific and intense ways. One of the most powerful chemicals involved is dopamine. This is the brain's feel-good neurotransmitter, the same one that activates when you eat your favorite food, win something exciting, or scroll through your phone and find the perfect meme. Dopamine is all about reward and motivation. And when you fall for someone, your brain gets completely drenched in it. And here's the wild part. The pattern of dopamine activity in romantic love looks almost identical to what happens in drug addiction. Researchers have used brain scans to observe people who are newly in love. They found intense activation in the ventral tegmental area and the caudate nucleus, two parts of the brain that also light up in people high on substances like cocaine. In simpler terms, your brain becomes hooked, addicted, but not to a substance, to a person. Every time you see them, hear from them, or even just think about them, your brain releases more dopamine. It creates a loop. The more you're around them, the more your brain rewards you, and the more you want to repeat that experience again. It's why early love feels so intense, so giddy, so all-consuming. You might find yourself checking your phone more often, waiting for a message. You may lose focus at work, feel restless when they're not around, or replay your last conversation over and over. That's dopamine. Whispering more, please. Even little things like hearing their laugh or remembering their scent can trigger that reward response. Your brain starts to associate them with pleasure on a deep, almost primal level. And just like with addictive substances, you start to crave their presence, not metaphorically, literally. Your brain is asking for its next hit, but here's where it gets even more interesting. This early-stage chemical rush isn't permanent. It can't be. Over time, as a relationship deepens, the brain naturally transitions from dopamine-fueled obsession to a more stable bonded connection. Other chemicals step in, like oxytocin, which promotes emotional closeness, and serotonin, which helps regulate mood. These create feelings of comfort, security, and long-term attachment. But in the beginning, it's all fire, all chemistry. You're not just excited, you're experiencing a neurological cascade designed to make you pursue, connect, and hopefully build something lasting. So if you've ever felt like love makes you a little irrational, a little obsessed, or a little too euphoric for your own good, now you know. It's not just you, it's your brain on love. Love makes us blind. We say it all the time, in poems, in songs, in awkward conversations with friends who clearly don't want to hear the truth. But the science, it backs it up. When you fall for someone, your brain starts dialing down the activity in your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, judgment, and decision-making. In other words, the very part of you that would normally raise a red flag and say, "Hey, maybe this is moving too fast," that part goes quiet, like noticeably quiet. Brain imaging studies show that when people are shown pictures of someone they're romantically involved with, activity in the prefrontal cortex decreases. That means all those little flaws, the way they chew, their tendency to interrupt people, or that weird jealousy streak, yeah. Your brain basically says, let's ignore that for now. It's not that the red flags aren't there. It's that your brain isn't prioritizing them. Instead, it's prioritizing connection, reward, and bonding. You're running on instinct and emotion, not analysis, not caution. This doesn't mean you're doomed to make bad choices in love, but it does explain why you might look back months later and say, how did I not see that? You didn't see it because neurologically, you were not in the business of seeing it. You were chemically wired to focus on the good, the exciting, the magnetic, and evolution has something to do with that. If humans scrutinized every detail of a potential partner too early on, we might never bond. We'd stay too skeptical, too careful. Instead, our brains give us this window, this temporary phase where logic takes a back seat and connection takes the wheel. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's part of the reason falling in love can feel so powerful, so freeing. But it's also why so many of us have moments where we ask, why didn't I listen to my gut? Or how did I justify that behavior? The answer might be you weren't in full logical mode. Your prefrontal cortex had taken a little nap. So what can you do with this info? Just be aware. When love hits hard and fast, know that your thinking brain may not be at full power. Give yourself space. Ask trusted people what they see, and try to check in with yourself once the dopamine haze starts to clear. Because yes, love is beautiful, but sometimes love, especially new love, has terrible judgment. It might sound poetic or even a little mystical, the idea that two people in love begin to sync up. But science says it's not just poetic, it's biological, and it's happening in your brain. When you're in love, especially in those early intense stages, your brain starts to mirror the brain of the person you're falling for. This is more than just having similar habits or sharing inside jokes. We're talking about actual neural synchronization. Studies using brain scans and heart rate monitors have shown that couples in love often begin to experience mirrored activity in their brains. Their emotional responses align, their breathing patterns sync up. Even their heart rates can start to beat in rhythm like a duet playing under the surface. And it's not because they're trying to do this, it just happens. Why? Because love isn't just about emotion, it's about connection, and the human brain is wired to connect. This process is linked to something called interpersonal synchrony, the natural tendency for people who are emotionally close to unconsciously mirror each other's movements, tone of voice, even micro-expressions. Ever notice how couples sometimes start to finish each other's sentences, or laugh at things that don't even seem funny to anyone else? That's not just familiarity, that's a reflection of how their brains are firing in sync. And get this, scientists found that when two people who are romantically involved look into each other's eyes, their pupil sizes often change in tandem. Your brain is watching, responding, and adapting even when you don't realize it. This kind of syncing helps with empathy too. When your brain mirrors someone else's feelings, it becomes easier to understand them, to comfort them, to anticipate what they need, even if they don't say a word. It's why a simple look from someone you love can carry a whole conversation. It's why you might feel their emotions in your body, like a tightening in your chest when they're anxious, or a wash of calm when they walk into the room. But there's more. This synchronization builds something deeper over time: emotional safety. Your brain begins to trust that person, not just consciously, but neurologically. You become, in a very real sense, wired together. Of course, this doesn't mean two people have to become the same. You'll still be individuals. But in love, your brains begin to dance. And the rhythm you find together, it's not just sweet, it's science. Here's something truly wild about love. It doesn't just mess with your emotions or give you butterflies, it can actually change how you feel physical pain. That's right, being close to someone you love can literally make pain hurt less, not just metaphorically. Neurologically, in a groundbreaking study, researchers at Stanford University found that when people were shown photos of their romantic partner while experiencing mild pain, like heat on the skin, their brains responded as if the pain was reduced. Specifically, the regions associated with discomfort and distress were less active. And at the same time, reward-related brain areas lit up. Looking at someone you love, even just a photo, creates a neurological buffer against pain. But it gets better. When the partner was physically present, holding the person's hand, the pain was dulled even more. And it wasn't just about distraction. Brain scans showed that the body's endogenous opioid system, that's your natural painkiller response, was kicking in stronger when the loved one was nearby. In simpler terms, love activates your internal pharmacy, and it helps you cope. This ties into another part of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, which is deeply involved in how we process both pain and emotional stress. When we're supported by someone emotionally close, activity in that region drops. So it's not just that they make you feel better emotionally, they are, quite literally, changing how your brain handles suffering. Ever notice how holding someone's hand during a scary or painful moment makes you feel stronger, more grounded? That's not just comfort, that's biology doing its thing. And this doesn't only apply to romantic love. Strong emotional bonds in general, with friends, family, even pets, can have this pain-reducing effect. But romantic love, that hits a little deeper. Because when you're in love, your brain has built a neural connection that makes the mere presence of that person feel safe, soothing, and powerful. It's the reason why, when you're going through something tough, you might instinctively want to reach for your partner, even if they can't fix the problem. Because your brain knows just having them close might be enough. And sometimes it really is. Love doesn't erase pain, but it softens the edge. It reminds your nervous system that you're not alone. And in the quiet language of neurons and neurochemicals, that's a powerful message. Love doesn't just live in the heart, or even the mind. It lives in the body, especially in your skin, and the way your brain remembers what touch feels like. One of the lesser known effects of falling in love is how the brain encodes physical connection. The brush of a hand, the feeling of arms wrapped around you, the warmth of a shared glance. All of that becomes part of your brain's internal library of sensation. Touch is a primal sense, and when it's connected to emotional intimacy, it becomes one of the strongest memory triggers we have. Studies show that even thinking about someone you love can activate the somatosensory cortex. That's the part of the brain responsible for processing physical touch, which means you don't need to be physically near someone to feel them. Your brain can simulate their presence based on memory alone. This is why a familiar scent can suddenly make you feel wrapped in someone's arms, or why hearing their favorite song gives you goosebumps. Your brain is reactivating stored sensory patterns, reliving a moment, sometimes without your permission. And when the love is strong, that memory can be vivid, startling, comforting, or sometimes painful. That's because the same neural pathways that make love feel safe and pleasurable are also connected to grief, longing, and loss. Your brain doesn't just delete those touch memories when someone's gone, it keeps them tucked away, like fingerprints left on the inside of your skin. This is especially true during breakups. Even if a relationship ends, the body often still remembers being held. The absence becomes a physical ache, a kind of phantom limb, not just emotionally but neurologically. But this isn't always a bad thing. In healthy, ongoing relationships, the memory of your partner's touch becomes a source of calm even when they're not around. It's what helps long-distance couples feel connected. It's why a good memory can soothe you on a hard day. Because love, especially through touch, gets woven into your nervous system. The insular cortex, a region of the brain tied to emotional awareness and bodily sensation, lights up when people recall intimate physical contact. Your body doesn't just remember what happened, it remembers how it made you feel. That's the power of love through touch. It transcends time, it lingers, it leaves echoes. So when you suddenly miss someone out of nowhere or feel warmth just thinking about them, you're not being dramatic. You're feeling a real neurological imprint. Love lives in memory, and memory lives in the body.